2. What up, pussy?
All right. Here we gotta let it record for a couple minutes before we really light it up. Because I gotta cut in the entry and stuff like that.
All right.
All right, I think we should be good. All right, give us a countdown again. Excuse me while I pack this lipper.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little guy. Just a casual to get us started.
Yep. Don't want to look like a psycho right out of the box. All right. 3,
Yeah.
2, 1. What up, Smitty?
And
We're back.
we're back. We're back, baby. We did it.
Yep, we did it. Another year. We're
We did it,
doing
Joe. We did
it.
it. Yeah, welcome back to the Dynasty, baby. New and improved. Not really new and improved, but back for a seventh season. The 7-year itch. If we survive this one, I guess the legend says that we're going to go on forever.
Yep, I think you're right.
We're just going to continue docking with each other until Billy Mack dies.
So, yeah, so maybe we should start with the kind of the tweaks that we made to the roster size.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? But I think something's still worth covering. And like, to be honest, I think it was kind of overdue. So we haven't got a lot of or I haven't got any blowback on it, which is kind of what our intention was. We're not looking
Mhm.
to make this wholesale change. We're just trying to make things a little bit more user friendly. And like when you're grinding your dick off for your fifth IDP player who, when everybody's rostering, 7 of them and we got 12 teams and you're going 100 deep on IDP.
Yep.
I mean, come
It's
on,
a lot, man.
kind of sucks the joy out of it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And then
yeah,
I think
so
the 13 starters, we kind of talked about this after the fact, but when you started 15 players, you basically had to start everyone who was startable on your roster.
right.
So making it 13, it's a small amount, but it does, bring more like start, sit, correct plays into the weekly results.
Yeah.
Because we were
Yeah.
getting a lot of, like 1-2 point games, and that's just because you're starting everybody. So I think this will make it a little bit more streamlined, and thanks to everyone who we surveyed a few people just to make sure we weren't crazy. So I think we ended up in a good spot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And we kind of, like you said, landed on that after, we talked through it a lot. And the adding the start sit decisions, I think is a good consequence too, you
Hmm.
know, and eliminating those 2 roster spots, like players 25 and 26 on your active roster what's the difference, right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, they were fill-in guys. So, the idea here is that we are going to create a little bit more activity on waiver wire. We're always looking to do whatever we can do to stimulate trade activity. I think that's something that the Dynasty fantasy game is kind of designed for, or maybe not designed for, but we're hoping to stimulate that because, building your team and thinking out of the box. And, even if I berate you horrifically at a trade, like it can work out in a couple of years. So,
Yeah.
I think that that's played out on a couple of those last deals. So we're just looking to stimulate a little more activity amongst the ownership group, of which, again, like I said in the email, but probably most of you didn't read it, I take it as a point of pride, along with my mane of pubic hair, that we're 7 years in. We haven't lost a single owner. We added one, right? Like Glenn came on board when Mike and Brian decided to join forces. So like, hell man, there's a lot of fantasy leagues that don't last 2 years. So the
Yep.
fact that we're in year 7 on a pretty big financial and time commitment on here is pretty cool. So we're trying to figure out a way to keep the boys engaged, but also to like create some opportunity for some more banter amongst that. So hopefully some more competitive games, a little more trade talk. We'll be able to do that. And we are hoping that that's what this was going to be. The defensive scoring piece, I mean, really for me, that was just about, we want to keep the special defensive plays important, but we also don't want to overblow, like a tackle for loss worth the same as a 50-yard run.
Mhm.
That
Yep.
just wasn't there. So hopefully this check back will just kind of mix in all those linebackers in with the running backs and wide receivers, which is really what we're looking to do, right? Quarterbacks are going to be quarterbacks. That's going to be its own thing. We're not really working off of that. We just kind of want to make the linebacker safety position kind of jive a little better with the wide receiver running back position and, open up opportunities, for people to do stuff as far as that goes. So,
Yep. And it is a
um,
2 quarterback league, so if you have no viable quarterbacks on your roster, you may want to trade for one. Just throwing it out there.
Pronto, even
Not mentioning anyone specifically.
Russell Wilson available.
Yeah, Russell Wilson is way better than Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
I've said too much.
You want a guy that's going to take a snap in a regulation game on your
Yes.
roster.
Mhm. Yep.
Just saying, Danny, call me. Let's see. Yeah, keepers Friday. I think we're good with that, right? Because one of the consequences, well, so this year, just for clarity's sake, we're reducing the roster size, but we are still keeping 15 this year. Just so that, like, I know it's a little bit last minute. So if anybody had grand plans for seeing if their Isaac Garendo shares ever paying out, fuck you, man. So we will still have 15. Idea is to go back down to 13 next year, keep the number of starters in each game. And we'll see how this season works out. But
Well, I'm just talking out loud here. Why don't we extend that to Monday? When is the draft going to start? Because we only have a 9-round draft.
yeah,
And
I got to
plus,
go in and do a little bit of housekeeping there. Right now, the draft is scheduled for Tuesday, the 26th, but that's obviously for factory guys not going to work. So why don't we? Do you want to push the draft?
yeah, I'm saying we don't really even need to start drafting until. I mean, it's going to take like 3 days, I would think.
Yeah, I would think it is a holiday weekend though, so I
Yeah.
honestly don't have any problem starting it on Wednesday. I mean, like just for the sake of brevity, but to give everybody an appropriate amount of time. Like, I
Hmm.
don't care if we start the draft at like noon. We could just start it at noon on Wednesday, and then the clock starts then. But that'll
Hmm.
take the number one pick, who is Danny and Joe, right?
I don't even know.
Let's have a look. Gunshot survivors. Oh, it's the Traz boys. So the clock will start Wednesday at noon. Do you good with that?
Yeah, I mean
Or do you want to do Thursday or something? I
that's
don't care.
fine with me, but like picks are going to take a while over a holiday weekend, so like you can't get your panties in a twist if people aren't making picks on like Thursday, Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
But
it's a
I
slow
still think
draft.
even if we started Wednesday at noon, I think it'll finish before the end of Labor Day weekend.
I would think so. Right.
Yeah.
And if we need to put the Spurs to it, everybody, the aforementioned good owners that are in this league, like if we need to put a little heat behind the things to get it
Mhm.
done, like everybody will be able to do that too. Um, so I think you want me to go ahead and change that?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right. Well, we're a committee of two, so done and done. So draft to start the crack of noon on Wednesday, the 27th. Just give us a little more time since we're pushing the keeper deadline date to Friday, midnight, essentially. So just like the end of the night Friday, so that everybody can wake up on Saturday, pull the free agents. That's going to be, well, I guess you and I are going to have to do some work on Saturday to get the keepers loaded in and stuff like that. So let's just set a goal of having that set by Saturday evening then, so that everybody will have, a handful of days. But, hey, look, if you don't know what you're doing with your first 2 or 3 rounds,
Yeah, I mean,
make the checks out to DM Gabrielson at
it'll be
gmail.com.
pretty thin past the rookies anyway.
Yeah, it usually is. So we know how that usually works out. So I will go ahead and
Why
adjust
don't you
that.
set why don't you set it to Saturday at 10 a.m. for the keeper deadline? That
Okay.
way if people can wake up and make decisions if they forgot to the night before.
Okay.
And then we can fix it Saturday.
I mean, I'm busy
And
all day Saturday, so I'm not going to be able to look at it until Saturday night. So if we're going to do that, I'm fine just making it like 4 o'clock on Saturday or something. Or
yeah.
are you relatively free in the afternoon?
This coming Saturday?
Yeah.
Probably not.
All right.
So
I'll just
yeah,
set it
let's
for
Saturday at 4 sounds great.
4 o'clock Saturday. All right. So you're gonna have to
So
talk. Oh, I'll make those 2 changes noted in the Jedi log if you
yeah,
could.
Saturday at
Um,
4, and
but
then draft starts Wednesday at noon.
perfect. Um, you know, I'm excited about this year, as always.
Yep.
Hope springs eternal. I would also like to point out my Vikings jersey. I want to let Joe Wallace, I want you to know, Joe, that I'm an ally. All right. I'm an ally. Gabe's has a partially rainbow hat on
Mm.
for the newly minted gayest franchise in football. There we go. Super gay. Really fucked
Yep.
up.
Mm.
Taking over from the Cowboys for the gayest franchise in this.
Exactly.
So um let's see. Yeah, I do think it's worth mentioning too. Like I know that like some of our, like some of our like my last handful of keepers, like, not great, right? But Billy turned it around from a 5-11 season to win it all last year, right? Craig turned it around from a 3-13 to win it the year before. Like
Yeah.
immediate turnarounds are there, right?
Hmm.
So I think that's kind of cool. Like a majority of our league, 8 out of the 12 teams are all within, what, 26 games of each other after 100, almost 100 played.
Hmm.
Everybody, again, 8 out of the 12 teams are all within about 15 points of 500, which is pretty good. And the two teams that are kind of outliers on the winning end, only one of them has won. Derek, Michael Penis Jr.
Hmm.
so, yeah, I mean, like I think that it's worked out pretty well, so that's pretty cool. All the stuff is on the website too. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been on there already. So, um, Big Cat, you want to talk about the fab um, increase in fab dollars and how you see that working out?
Yeah, so I think we're going to talk about kind of what we would propose for next year. And I would be a proponent of, increasing the stakes a little bit, just because it's such a time commitment. And we do pay out lots of different spots as well. But, as a kind of, small measure to that point, we decided to double the fab dollars. So that's real dollars, as everyone knows. So you can bid up to $200 a season instead of 100. I know I usually run out by my horrible pickups, but that'll just, double the fab pot in theory, which will then obviously roll directly into the Ryder Cup. But that'll increase the playoff pot. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And like conceivably, the people that spend money on fab, if they spend it wisely, they put themselves into a better chance to win. You're kind of investing in you're buying cheaper shares into the
Hmm.
championship pot. So,
Yeah.
the hope is that, there's some splashy moves. And even late in the season when people have a lot of money, that there's a
Hmm.
marginal guy that's going to push you over the edge for a week or, increase your like let you change your position in playoffs and stuff like that, that you'll go ahead and fire that money into there,
Hmm.
to sweeten the pot and hopefully you get a taste of it at the end. So, yeah, there we go. Do you want to talk about, do you want to bring up do you want to have the discussion about the reset ideas, or do we want to
Yeah,
just save that
I
for
think so.
later?
Because yeah, I think we should talk about it so we can kind of get a consensus so we can figure out what we want to do as early as possible.
Right. So hopefully for guys that hopefully you guys listen to this. Um,
Yeah,
the
we'll
idea.
point out the timestamp in the text that we send.
Oh, look at you. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put I think I can make chapters in YouTube actually.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So this is the important part. So start
Don't forget
listening
to hit
now.
like and subscribe, right? Really helps the channel.
It does help the
Um,
channel
yeah.
more than you guys know.
Yeah, no kidding. I just want you guys to know that I love you, right? And I do this for you. I don't do this because I like it. I do it for you guys. Um, yeah, so Big Cat and I had been kicking around for most of the summer options for a reset. And there we've heard of fantasy leagues before that have a preset like reload, right? Like dynasty leagues that have a reset after every 10 years or 5 years or something like that. Um, and that's an idea. And foolishly for me, because my roster right now is a little weaker, that is more penal to the better rosters versus the poorer rosters. So kind of where I came in with it and what we've talked about a lot has been providing owners with an option to basically trade in keepers for supplemental draft picks towards the top of the draft, not at the top of the draft, but towards it, to just and then to scale that. So if you only give up one pick, you might get a sixth or seventh round supplemental pick, right? But if you really pare down your group, you trade in four keepers or five keepers, that's going to increase the value of the pick that you get. So basically, the more you trim your roster, the better the supplemental picks that you'll get. Knowing that a stronger roster probably won't want to do that, right? They're going to want to hold on to those guys and then take their picks as they have them. Whereas a roster that just things didn't work out, and if you end up with like Tua and Russell Wilson and JJ McCarthy at quarterback, like maybe you want to have a reset. But just an idea. So it's something that I think we want to have a group discussion about. But that was kind of the idea that we cooked up. I know I talked to Dom about it a little bit, and he had some ideas too, but we want to get the group on this one because this will be a voting type situation if we do something that drastic. So kind of a discussion that we'll try to have throughout the season. And as we bring guest hosts in, maybe we'll just give everybody that comes on as a guest host their idea and their thought. And then hopefully by the time the season's wrapping up, we'll have a coherent idea of like, hey, I think everybody's kind of in for this type of thing. We'll toss it up for a vote and see if we can't get something passed to basically allow it's like a franchise reset, and I think that could be a cool thing, an interesting wrinkle.
Yep. So, um, just so we're clear, so like, you know, the idea that we kicked around, so you would have to keep eight. So everyone would have to keep eight no matter what. And then to get to the 13 keepers, um, you would get a pick for every player that you traded in. So, if you traded in three picks or three keepers, so you would only keep 10 players then, you would get, in theory, like a seven, a six, and a five supplemental pick to replace those players.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's an interesting thing. I think there's a concern that, like, certainly when Dom brought it up to me, I hadn't really thought about was, when you're thinking about future value of draft picks in trades, there's going to be an unknown of franchise resets.
Hmm.
But I mean, me personally, like, I don't have a problem with a little bit of volatility. Like, that makes it interesting, right?
Yeah.
That's another piece of strategy that you could play in there. Um, so I think it's something that could be cool. We just got to figure out that execution to make it, you got to balance making it worth doing the reset versus not fucking over the teams that have built a good roster.
Yep. But I mean,
So,
the good rosters, they'll be able to keep their players.
mhm.
So it
Yep.
doesn't really hurt them.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep 13 and not get any supplemental picks, you just keep 13 players.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, so that's the idea, and that's a discussion that we'll have throughout the season. So,
Well, so do you think we should, don't you think it might be better if we could come to like, yeah, I think the majority are in favor or are not earlier so we can plan for next year?
yeah, I suppose so. We probably, you know,
Well,
yeah,
that's something we can kick around to the group too. Because
no, you're
you
not
wouldn't,
wrong.
so as long as everyone knows it's a possibility, then everyone knows it's a possibility. But, I think, and Dom is really one that brought this up too. So if I think there would be more trades and more, action if we knew what was going to happen versus not know.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we hold ourselves to a little tighter deadline, and maybe these first couple pods in these first few weeks. I mean, it's still preseason. We have discussion, and the hope is that you guys actually get to this point of the pod
Yeah.
and have a chance to think about it, and then maybe it just starts a discussion out there of like, hey, I am wholly against this, or yeah, I think this is a pretty good idea. Let's put something together and see what the group thinks, and knowing the ownership group in this dynasty like I do, I think most everybody's going to be down for something, right? Some kind of
Yeah.
wrinkle. Um, and I think that just, I think it could be cool. So yeah, we can try to, it would be good to kind of get that decided by the taxi lock in week 6. Actually, that's probably a decent landing point to get a decision made there, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, or
So
maybe
yeah, maybe we
before.
can get some discussion going, in the text thread. Like, hey, that sounds like a good idea, and we should do it sooner rather than later. Or, I'll think about it. Week 6 seems good, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, all right. Got an email. Check your email. Um, let's see. What else? What else is on the agenda here, Big Cat?
So, yeah, I think, and just so we're clear, so if nothing happens, we are reducing the keepers next year down to 13. So if we say, hey, let's just keep it status quo, we're only keeping 13 next year, not 15.
Yeah, keepers should just kind of mirror whatever the starting lineup number is. I
Yep.
think that's probably the most reasonable way to do it. It's where we've arrived at this point. So I think that we just kind of keep that as a benchmark. So 2026 will be a max of 13 keepers, um,
Mhm.
barring some kind of wholesale change that we haven't thought of yet. So
Yep.
let's see. So um, I don't know. I feel unprepared this year, but it's kind of exciting, right? Um, I'm down with that. Um, and there's still plenty of time to prep, and that's the beauty of the slow draft too, is that you can literally wait till your pick is up and then
Hmm.
do your research. And if you can't figure out who to pick in a couple hours of research, then you're
Yep.
probably really fucked.
Yep. So get those pre-keeper trades in. This will probably go out on Thursday, so you'll have a day and a half basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if anything goes. But remember, once keepers are set, trades open back up too, so
yep.
you can work with folks on that, and hopefully we get a little action going here. But I think by and large, the group, I think every team pretty much has a pretty solid about 10 keepers, and then there's some questionables for those 11, 12, and 11 through 15.
Hmm.
But net, um, I think we're going to have some pretty good teams out there. I think we're going to have some teams that need a little bit of work, but we got some time. And also, as a reminder, we do need to wrap the draft by Tuesday the 2nd so that we can have our first blind, or I guess we really need to wrap it by Wednesday at like noon,
Yep.
Wednesday the 3rd, because then everybody's going to go on waivers. And then we're going to run blind bids on Thursday the 4th, which is the first game of
Yep.
the season. So there's going to be a chance for waiver stuff. But not starting the draft until after that last run of preseason games. If there's some kind of an injury that screws you over, obviously, we always work with that too. If you need to make a change on a keeper because of some kind of injury that happens on this weekend, that's always on the table in our leagues.
Yep.
Um,
All right. Well, I guess
that's
we
what I
can
got,
wrap it up
man.
here.
Yeah. So, oh, one thing I haven't put it together, but I will. I'm going to send out a like a sign up genius just for the pods,
Hmm.
and it's Gibbs and I started this pod. It's Wednesday night. We started about 9:45, and we'll try to keep them in this half hour to 45-minute range. They can go a little bit longer, and I got no problem with that. But we'll try to be like a 9:30 to 10 Eastern time start on Wednesday nights. That'll give Gabe's plenty of time to get the the recording over to me, and then I can do my YouTube stuff and try to get it out and ready for guys on Thursday. Will be the goal of everything. So and we hope to see a lot of owners jump in. I know a lot of guys have expressed interest, so I think that we'll get some signups and that'll be fun.
Yep. Good stuff.
All right, man.
Well, yeah, we'll do one next week. If we do one next Wednesday, that'll be with the draft going on, so that'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be like a
Or should we do a live group on Wednesday night?
we could just do like a
Yeah.
wide open, like an
Hmm.
all play on Wednesdays. Pod will start it on 9:30 or 9:45 on Wednesday night. The draft will be live, and everybody that can jump on can jump on. We can shoot the shit and maybe talk through some of these some of the reset stuff
Yep.
as a group, and that could be a good way to kind of get things going a little bit faster. So,
Yeah, that'll be good.
all right.
All right. Well, good luck, everyone. You will need it.
Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
Holler.
Holler.
All right.